Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. My name is Artem, and here is the news. For 473 days, Ukraine defends itself against the Russian invasion. Yesterday, Russian troops opened fire at the boats with civilians evacuating from the occupied, flooded left bank of Kherson Oblast, reports Ukrainska Pravda. At least 3 people were killed and 10 wounded, including 2 police officers. Despite the shelling, people were able to reach the city of Kherson. According to the Kherson Oblast military administration, when the enemy opened fire, a 74-year-old man covered the woman with his own body. The Russians shot him in the back. He died from his wounds. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky said in his evening video address that the occupiers created this disaster by blowing up a dam, leaving people to their fate in flooded towns and villages, and then shelling the boats that were trying to take people away. Even beasts are more moral than you, Russian state, stressed the president. He informed that overall about 4,000 people have been evacuated from the flooded area. Zelensky thanked everyone who is helping to rescue people. The Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources of Ukraine informed that as of June 11, 70% of water was lost from the Kakhovka reservoir, reports Ekonomichna Pravda. In addition, the water level in the Dnipro River at the Kherson Mark has dropped by almost 1.5 meters and is 4.2 meters now. On average, the trend of lowering the level by 1 to 5 centimeters per hour is maintained. Earlier, the ministry assessed that the amount of estimated damage to the environment due to the Russians' detonation of the Kakhovska hydroelectric power plant has already exceeded $1.5 billion. Volodymyr Zelensky informed that these days representatives of the International Criminal Court visited Kherson region. He said that on the very first day after the Kakhovka dam was blown up, the Prosecutor General sent a request to the Office of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court to investigate the disaster, and the work has already begun. It is very important that the representatives of the international justice have seen the consequences of this Russian act of terrorism with their own eyes and heard for themselves that Russian terror continues, added the president. We would really appreciate if you could rate us in the apps where you are listening to this podcast, ideally with 5 stars. This way more people would find the Highlights from Ukraine podcast and learn the truth about Russia's invasion. Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maler informed that the Ukrainian military liberated the settlements of Makarivka and Blagodatne in Donetsk Oblast, as well as advanced on the Bakhmut front and in the south, reports Radio Liberty. In particular, Ukrainian troops proceeded from 3 to 1,500 meters in the south of Donetsk region and about 250 meters near Bakhmut. Maler stressed that not a single position was lost on the fronts where Ukrainians are on the defensive. Earlier defense forces of the Tavria front confirmed the liberation of the village of Blagodatne, Donetsk Oblast, on the border with Zaporizhia Oblast, and reported the capturing of 6 invaders. Ukraine managed to liberate 95 military personnel from Russian captivity, including soldiers of Ukraine's armed forces, National Guard and Border Guard, reports Suspilne. Among the liberated in this another prisoner of war swap are 93 privates and sergeants and 2 officers. Some of them were taken in captivity in Mariupol, Chernobyl, Zmiyny or Snake Island, from Bakhmut, as well as those who took part in the special operation and flew by helicopter to Azovstal steel plant in the surrounded Mariupol. According to the coordinating headquarters for the treatment of prisoners of war, some were held captive by the Wagner Group and the Akhmat unit of the Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov. Another 3 were not officially confirmed by the enemy as prisoners and were considered missing. At the same time, the Ministry of Defense of Russia reported that 94 captured Russian servicemen were returned to them. Thank you for listening to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast. We are a commercial initiative of just 2 people and we need your help to grow. Share information about the podcast, rate us in the app, subscribe to our Patreon. With your support, we are getting better. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.